people from the community. I mean, not to be argumentative, but to.
There wasn't argumentative. I just asked about the time of the meeting. Is that what you're gonna do? You're just trying to set up a committee today? For this thing? I'm just asking.
I mean, different ideas are going to be discussed. They'll get into the details.
Is that one of them? Okay. Ed, maybe you'll be chosen.
Huh?
Maybe you'll be chosen.
I don't know about that.
This would have been ideal for more people to be here, though.
That wasn't the goal, John. We can't invite everybody in Burnham. That's not the goal. You have to let us make that decision, the people that's involved.
Would have been an ideal town hall. You said it's for planning for the future of Burnham. I would think you want more people to come out and get their opinion. That's all I'm asking.
I mean, this is the first meeting where the people have been invited. So you gotta give time for it to be formulated. And the wrong wasn't made on the day.
Can I ask how many people you actually invited here?
I don't really want to.
Single digits?
That's not.
I only know about it because my neighbor. Talk about the future of Burnham too. I think this subject plays right into that. The Sunday before Memorial Day, there was a shooting. Guy was shot and killed 10 a.m. The police went door to door for like 6, 7, 8 hours. So there was an active shooter running around somewhere. They didn't know, the cops didn't know that at the time. Why wasn't, I mean, it wasn't by me, it was by Marquette, but you got kids and stuff playing all over the place. Why weren't they made aware of that? Somebody could have gotten shot and killed besides the bad guy.
The position of the police department when something happens, unfortunate situation like that, the policy of to keep it as reserved as possible, while the investigation is going on. There was no movement harm to Burnham. It occurred and the people left the area.
You guys didn't know that for 6, 7, 8 hours though. You were going door to door asking for video. I'm looking out for the
That's part
people.
of the investigation, John.
Well, if you don't know, why don't you notify people so they don't let their kids go outside where there's an active shooter? Again, I don't even have kids. I understand same thing happened a year ago on Saginaw.
This is not what this is.
This is the future of Burnham. If you get shot and killed, you have no future, sir.
This is not what this is about.
Correct, this is not the time and place to do that.
He's the mayor, why can't he answer us? I don't even know who you are, sir.
I am a village engineer.
Really? I've never seen you before.
I've been here a couple of times. Yes.
Are you undercover too?
The capital improvement plan. So this is actually going to be a meeting restricted to the people from the county and the people from Keel Hamilton, as well as the people who have been invited to be potentially part of the steering committee. So with that, we'll close it. We'll close the.
The meeting hasn't started yet.
And we'll start the meeting now, and then we'll let you guys go through the agenda here that we have, and we'll cover everything. And we'll leave all the questions from the public, if there are any, to the end.
There won't be any answers.
Sounds good. I can go ahead and get started. Just real quick, since we do have some new people here, brief introductions. I'm Wadi Rafati. I'm with Gaywalt Hamilton. We are the sub-consultant working with CMAP to help develop the capital improvement plan for the village of Burnham. So today's meeting purpose and goals is just to touch base on where we're at with the process for phase 1 of the capital improvement plan. Again, phase 1 is developing the participatory budget agreement, starting thinking about steering committee formation, and the big ticket item is just data collection and strategy. So those are the big things that I want to talk about. We're still waiting on a couple people from Lamar Johnson. They're gonna lead
I'm
the
here.
discussion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want me to come sit up there, Waddy?
Yeah, sure, if you wanted to. So, just to quickly touch base on the participatory budget agreement. So, last that we talked, we were working on final draft for that agreement. That agreement is in your hands. So at this point, whatever, comments, that you guys have on that agreement, you guys can just send us those comments and we'll work with you guys to finalize the agreement before it gets put, before your village board. Is there anything that you guys have questions on about that agreement now?
Well, it's still under review, the attorney is looking at it.
Okay, no worries. I can touch base with you guys separately. I think, it's important for us to, kind of keep this process moving with the PB. So maybe after this meeting, I'll reach out to you guys. We can talk about, next steps to finalize the agreement and talk about a date where it could be presented to the village, board. I know that we've got to finalize the language in that agreement, before we do that, so. Moving on, steering committee formation. So I know we have some potential members of the steering committee here now that you guys are working with. So next steps for our project is we want to get a list of those members, the potential members for the steering committee, and we'll work with you guys to help develop that committee. Did you want us to talk a little bit about what that committee is again, just because, you know, we're here? I don't know, do you want to run through this a little bit? This is some of the information that,
Katie, would you, some of the things we talked about this morning, would you kind of go over those?
Yeah, so with the capital improvement plan, the approach that CMAP likes to take with these projects is to have a steering committee that is a mix of representation of the village from staff, elected officials, and residents. And the role of the steering committee is to help inform engagement, so I think that's relevant to what we were talking about earlier. Helping make sure that we've got a strong engagement plan and we're reaching folks. And then also to help keep potential project ideas and needs, help prioritize them or keep them grounded in feasibility, but also aspirational, finding that balance. And so that's what the steering committee will do. They'll work with the project team and our consultant team over the next year and a half-ish as we complete the capital improvement plan to go through this process and come along with village staff and the project team to develop a comprehensive capital improvement plan. And so the next steps for that, identifying representative span of members, and then we'll work on getting a meeting scheduled to kick off and have kind of background explanation for the steering committee to get them as informed about capital improvement planning as the project consultant teams are.
Okay, well, that's great. Excuse me, yeah, we had, started kind of late, trying to get a couple of people together. And of course, we know that it would take more than one meeting, to try to get everybody on board. And, so we tried to, have some diversification in the process as well. And we'll continue to do that. So, hopefully we'll have that, together maybe in the next couple of weeks, and certainly about a month. Does anyone from the public have anything to say?
Yes, I do have something to say. The reason I'm here is because the alleys in Burnham, you keep putting fill in, you try to, to grade them, but you keep adding on there. I've lived in Burnham since 1973. And the alley it floods my garage. So I have to, every time you go through and you, whatever you do to the alley, I have to go out and put the gravel, and I know neighbors that do the same thing. What I'm here, the only reason I'm here is because these alleys are a tragedy. And if you go through those alleys, after it rains, there's nothing but floods. And as I said, my garage has been flooded so many times. I added 5 inches of concrete to my garage just because Burnham Avenue is higher than my garage. So all the water flows right into my garage. So when you asked me to come here, which John had a good point, is why would you have a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning if you're inviting people? Because I know some neighbors that have lived in Burnham for a long time too. And if you had a meeting at a decent time, maybe you'd get more representatives here. But I said, my only complaint about if you want to improve Burnham is to pave these alleys, or to get somebody, an engineer in here that would know what he's doing, as opposed to just having your team go over it and keep adding fill. There's potholes all over in the alley. If you go through there when it rains, and I saw this as an opportunity for me to come in. All these years that I've lived here, that's always been a problem. These alleys are terrible. So
Well,
that's why I'm here.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. Well, I have instructed Public Works not to put any additional gravel in the alley, just to try to recover the holes, the patch of holes that we do have.
Yeah.
Now, as far as paving the alleys go, I have some concern with that as far as the safety goes. We have a lot of people speeding down the streets now. People want speed bumps put here, speed bumps put there. And if we get a chance to pave the alley, then we're gonna have people speeding down the alley as well. So, I mean, that kind of concerns me, as far as the public safety and children and kids and whatnot as well. So it's kind of like 61 hand, half a dozen, but nevertheless, your complaint is liable, and we will take a look at that.
Yeah, they haven't never, and then the trees in Burnham here, they need to be trimmed. I mean, I have, there's older trees here that the branches are, and with the high winds we're experiencing from this climate,
We're gonna do that. We've had some complaints in the last couple of weeks or so about that, so we will be addressing that. So, is there a tree in front of your house that needs trimming?
Yeah, and especially those trees that drop those helicopters,
Yeah.
because all that goes into the sewer, and it blocks the sewer, so the rain has nowhere to go. So
We
that's
know that we
another
had it
concern.
cleaned out. The county's been helping us, so we've had them cleaned out, at least a couple of times this year from Cook County, giving us some assistance with that. Yes, sir.
But I have a problem with this electrical grid in Burnham. But like every time the wind blow our power go out, so why?
Okay, well, some of these issues is really not for this meeting today. I mean, that's something that, we're having a board meeting Tuesday night, and maybe more appropriate that we might be able to deal with that. But we're always willing to hear whatever complaints you do have. If there's something we can do about it, whatever. But this today is for overall future perspective of what we're trying to get done.
And I also agree with him about these alleys, there's no drainage to the sewer. So when it rains, the water just sit there because you don't have no drainage. It just sit there, and it be there for days until it just evaporate in the ground.
Well, for the
If they
record,
were to put some type of drainage for the water to drain into the sewer, we wouldn't have that.
for the record, I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna have to move on from that. I mean, for the record, some of the alleys do have sewers, but the ones that do not, the Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago does not want any more water going into the sewer system. Does not. So that's why they're coming up with these green energy plans and ideas to deter the water away from the sewer, and the engineer could give some additional information about that.
Yeah, we actually, this is a topic that Mayor and I have discussed. We actually have gone out to look at a few sites. But like you said, that's not something that we necessarily have to get into right now. The alleys will be part of, there will be an aspect that will be part of this capital improvement plan. So that is, thank you guys for bringing that up. That will be part of the plan, as well as other things. So we can.
So this infrastructure plan we here today for, is this to
This is a-
upgrade the
This
neighborhoods?
is a 5-year plan that is gonna
It's a
be.
5-year
put
plan?
together. Correct. Projects, ultimately, it'll be a report that is going to identify, projects, that will be, I think we're gonna use a ranking system as well for
Well,
them.
how long will
Yeah.
will the work begin to get the progress moving?
That'll be something that we will need to work on, later on.
Yeah,
This is just identifying the issues that are happening in the village, coming up with a 5-year plan. Then we'll have to worry about, and that's not something that they are here for, that's something that's gonna be more on the village end, working with us directly. We'll try to find the funding for these projects and, you know, go through the list, and execute those projects as possible. But right now, yes, ultimately, out of this capital improvement plan, it'll be a plan, it'll be a 5-year plan.
And ultimately, as you know, as you hear in the news every day, that the federal government is actually reducing or cutting or eliminating a lot of things. So that would make it more complicated going forward in terms of trying to do some of the things that we would like to do.
So this project is literally in its infant stages now? You're just starting it?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't know that either, good.
Correct, yeah.
yeah, and I just wanna point out, I think this is kind of like a little bit of a preview of what the steering committee could be. You know what I mean, just getting some public feedback about, specific items that we're gonna be looking at, just like alleys. So like the village engineer outlined, the public alleys are gonna be identified, reviewed, assessed as part of this, capital improvement plan. So, we'll definitely look at, you know, alleys. I'll note that, and all other public infrastructure as part of this project, so, and then the end product is hopefully we'll develop a full plan that outlines, and assesses every piece of infrastructure that the village owns, and ranks, you know, this is where we believe that these projects should rank as far as what should be done first, from the infrastructure perspective, so. We'll work on that as we go, but yes, we're still in phase 1 of the project. You know, it's still very early on. We haven't collected any data, so that's kind of the next point that I wanted to talk through is starting the data collection phase of this project. So I think the biggest thing for me to get the CIP started is the data collection phase. And I think the thing that would be helpful is just to identify somebody from the village for me to work with directly, whether that's the village engineer or whether it's you, mayor, or somebody who, one of the trustees, that I can just, because there's gonna be a lot of back and forth on the data collection. The way that the village has their data recorded now, there's gonna be some work to get it to a point where it can be sent to us for review. So I think that's the big thing. So if you guys can identify that person, I think
I'll
that'd be
give some thought as to who we'll choose for that, so. Steve has us a lot, but we don't want to overwhelm him. So.
Yeah, no worries. We can figure that out as we go, and I'll touch base with you. And I'll give you this. This is the checklist that we developed. I'll give you the visual village engineer. I sent you this.
With this
That's kind of the
plan,
information
where,
you'll be looking for.
where is the beginning point in Burnham and where's the ending point in Burnham?
Well, I mean, once the plan is put together, then the project will be prioritized. And so would it be first, second, third, or whatever? So at this point, that would be preliminary, and we probably would not, wouldn't have that information today. And you're not speaking of the boundaries, right? You're speaking of the project itself, correct? Mr. Ross?
So otherwise, you got to you're gonna have to get the community to come together and build a plan.
No. No, the steering committee, I mean, the group, the CMAP is in charge of that, is formulated. But I'm saying, but your question, I mean, were you speaking about the boundaries of Burnham? Or are you speaking about the individual projects? Mr. Ross?
Can you hear him?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I'm trying to understand your question again. So you,
No, you know, because when you start to putting a plan together, and Burnham go from one end to the other one, if you're gonna start in the middle, or are you gonna start at the beginning of Burnham and just cover the whole Burnham area, or what? That was my question.
oh, that's what your question is. Okay, well, that would probably depend on exactly what type of project it was. If it was a street project, if it was for the alleys, if it was for the sewers, if it was something like that. So that probably would just depend on the nature with the project. Now, the lead line is already gonna be underway, so that will be starting before the end of this year. To replace the lead line, that's all. So that's one project that would be out of the way of this capital. I mean, that would be already completed.
Mr. Polk, a couple of times I've heard about the steering committee here. I know you kind of decided who was gonna come here or whatever, that's pushed that aside. Can I suggest, based on the fact that I don't even know some of these people that are here, but perhaps you consider most all of us that actually came to this meeting today for the steering committee. I don't even know how many people you plan on putting on it, but maybe you wanna, if they don't want to, that's fine, but maybe you consider putting us on it. We care enough to be here. Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Also, I understand that this is something you've talked about in the past. Mackinac on 142nd. Is that property owned by Burnham? Hunter's old relatives?
No,
Darn it. So you can't do anything about it, huh?
no, we don't own the property.
Okay. I didn't know. I was hoping. But then again, because it's been, you said it's been a burden for you for how many years? I'm agreeing with you. Get rid of the darn thing, because it just keeps falling apart more and more. Something's gonna happen over there. Animals, you know all about it.
Well, as soon as we can take care of it, or if we are able to take care of it, then we will. But it has to be legal, I mean, before we would take any action.
I could tell you this, you may not have anything to do with this, but I do a lot of walking around Burnham. On that roof of that house, it's got a brick chimney. One of the bricks is laying on the roof right now. That thing's gonna start crumbling. If that Teresa lady, I know you know who she is, somebody gets hit cutting their grass or something, or just a party or something, you might have a legal issue there too. I don't know. I'm making you aware of it though.
Well, again, I appreciate that, but again, we don't own the property,
Yeah.
and we can't just go and
No, I understand.
just demolish someone's property, so.
Can you do anything about Green Bay 138th? It's got police tape around there for the last 5, 6, 7 years, one girl told me.
But same thing with that property.
You don't own that either, huh?
I mean, 13803, we do not own the property.
Okay.
In fact, Burnham doesn't own any property, any houses. We don't own any houses.
You own one across the street from me.
Well, that's a different one. That was donated to us.
Can you tell us, tally ho, what's going on with that, do you know?
But same thing, and we don't own it. We don't have anything to do with that at this time.
Okay. 0 for 3. Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. And when those questions are available, then we'll let you know. We'll keep you filled in. The Hallman or Ms. Ross back there, do y'all have any comments?
No, I'd just like to say, I think you do a good job, Mayor.
Thank you.
A lot of these problems occurred with mayors that were not you. Once you start a problem and they just say, let the next guy fix it. Well, right now you fix things with money. And right now it seems that the state and the federal government are not interested in giving away money for projects. So try and help all you can, but you can only do so much. I'm happy I live here rather than Dalton or the rest of them.
I'm glad you understand that, and I appreciate you making that statement. Ms. Ross?
Yeah, well, first of all, good morning, Mayor, and thanks for inviting me, thanks for this project. And as a resident, I hope I can be part of some kind of solution instead of a complaining problem. And I think you do an awesome job.
And I thank you, and I appreciate you for that, for those comments, and Burnham is doing good. We're making great progress here in Burnham, and we will continue to do that. We can't do everything that everybody wants, but we're gonna do the best we can. And the trees that need trimming, we'll be looking at those next week. We'll try to get those done. I mean, we don't want, there are some people that have trees in their yard, and the trees have overgrown, and they're hanging over other people's roofs and over their garages, over this, that, and the other. And I've been fighting with people for years, ever since I've been here, about cutting the trees out of the fences. And a lot of people don't know, but when you see a lot of trees growing along the fence line, I mean, actually the birds planted those trees. And you may wonder, how could that be? When the bird eat those blueberries, and they sit there on the fence and do their business, and then the seeds regenerate. So if you look down the fence line on a lot of property, all the way down, you see trees. That's why they like that. Yeah.
You know, Mayor, you should give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing a great job in the city. And you're working with what you got. Because I watches you, how you come through the alleys and stuff, you check it and all of that. And a lot of them don't do that, but if you don't have the resources, you just can't do it. But you is one that always have tried to keep your promise. That's why we keep re-electing you.
Well, I appreciate it.
If we didn't care anything about you, we wouldn't keep putting you in the spotlight.
Well, I appreciate that.
But we thank you for what you are doing. But Burnham just needs a lot of improvement. And we pray that we can all come together in the community and get it done. It's gonna take more than, you just can't do it alone, we got to take the community.
Right.
People's in the community, we all got to come together and get it done. One man can't do it alone.
And that's part of what this committee is about, and formulating, trying to put that together, you know, and being part of your 5-year capital plan, so we know what your concerns are, and we'll try to address them the best we can, so we'll do that. Okay.
Sounds good. I think the biggest, goal for me in this meeting is just, outlining next steps, action items. So the big thing is the participatory budget agreement. Like I outlined, we have that being, finalized, so that we can keep moving forward and move past phase 1 of the project. So, after this meeting, I'll put together, some information, I'll send it to you guys, and we'll talk about, next steps for the PB. Same thing for steering committee formation, we've talked a little bit about that, and then also data collection. I'll make sure to copy, the village engineer on that information too. And then I'll start to outline our responsibilities and some potential deadlines as well for some of this work. I think we're trying to get, steering committee formed, as soon as possible, just so we can, move past phase 1. The big thing for the steering committee is, the big thing with, the steering committee and the PB, agreement being finalized is that we can start to engage the community, as a whole as well. And there's a lot of these summer events that we'd like to potentially, be at to advertise, the project and get some community feedback. So, we can't start to do that until, the committee and the PB are finalized and approved. So, those are the two big things. Data collection is going to be kind of a process that we go through for the whole project, basically. So we'll keep working with you guys on that. Any questions from mayors, trustees? Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Steve? Dave?
Just one question, what's the ideal committee size? From your experience?
Yeah, I know, we've talked about, somewhere like between 8 and 10, right? Something like that. Every community, every village does it differently. So, you might feel like you need more, you might feel like you need less. So that's a decision that you guys, should talk through. But yeah, 8 to 10-ish people. Also, if your community, Burnham's not a huge village. So, I feel like 8 to 10 is probably a good number. But yeah, if you guys feel like you want more or less, whatever you guys feel.
We will be working on that.
That's all I got. We can work on, scheduling another progress meeting too sometime in July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us a call.
Yeah. I'll send you some information. You guys can let us know what works for you guys, maybe, towards the end of the month, next month or something. And we can touch base on all these items. Hopefully by then we'll have everything finalized before those meetings and we can start to talk about phase 2 of the project a little bit. So,
Okay, well, we'd
Sounds
like to
good.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the public input and for your comment as well. And, we'll be calling on you again. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.